I'm from the South Side, which, you know, there's a Harlem, there's a Bronx, there's a Martin Luther King Boulevard, there's a Broad Street in every hood. That's where I'm from.
We're chip on your shoulder. We are chip on your shoulder rap, we're chip on your shoulder DJs, B-boys, because we've always had to be.
Everybody's looking for pockets of the same light, right? You could be a drug dealer, someone who graduated from Brown University, a hustler or whatever. We're all looking, searching for happiness, you know what I'm saying?
Everyone has their own view on what hip hop is and what it means to them. And to me, I always love the fact that it's always been like that rebellious voice of the streets. Go against all of the rules. Hip hop, there's no rules. We don't have rules.
If you live and breathe hip hop, it almost comes out of your pores and people look at you and they know it.
Hip hop is me. Hip hop is culture. Hip hop is the way we live.
Back then it was, you know, the breakdancing, the graffiti, you know, all that. When you put it all together, it's the way we express ourselves and what we've been through. You know, how do you say something when people aren't listening? When people don't listen to you, how do you get heard? You know, hip hop is a way back then to get heard.
Yeah, we from Rhode Island. You fucking right, we from Rhode Island. Like when people go, you got rap, oh, they rap in Rhode Island? Yeah, a lot better than some of your states. Like I tell people all the time, there's whack-ass rappers everywhere you go. There's whack-ass DJs everywhere you go. You know what I mean? Dopeness ain't exclusive to New York and LA, Atlanta. Like, nah, not at all. Not at all. So like, we, and always trying to find a voice in ourselves, we've always been very chest up and like, fuck you, hear us, but we're our own worst enemy because through it all, it was a lot of crab in a barrel syndrome. Everybody wanted to be that first big thing that was gonna crack Rhode Island hip hop wide open. And here we are, still really not had cracked that nut because every time somebody had a chance and was that close to the brass ring, here comes everybody else on some fuck this dude and fuck the leader. And now, you know, we're looked upon the major markets as not marketable.
The origin of this derives from being shunned out, you know what I'm saying? Being a marginalized group, you know? And as it relates to Providence and Rhode Island, like that's what is the motivating factor for a lot of us, you know what I mean? Like, yo, man, we're from a city that was overlooked, that's in between Boston and New York, and we got something to say.
I told my friends in New York, yo, I'm moving. They said, where? I'm going to Rhode Island. Long Island? No. Staten Island? No. Rhode Island. What's that? In the island or something? I said, no, it's close by Boston. Oh, it's Boston, Mass. No, it's New England. New England? What are you going, London? That's what the word people didn't understand in the 70s, because they never heard, because Rhode Island is a small place.
The chair of the House of Representatives last year said, he didn't know what white privilege was. And then he said, but it doesn't exist. So on the one hand, he's saying, I don't know that there's such a thing as white privilege, but I'm pretty confident it doesn't exist, right? And that was that moment where I really kind of recognize how some conversations just don't permeate into certain spaces. So here you have Providence, which is projected to be primarily people of color over the next few years, right? You have a state that is dependent on people of color for at least maintaining its population size, otherwise it would be shrinking. And you have a leader who hasn't thought about race.
What does white privilege mean to you?
I'm not sure I've ever thought of
the phrase white privilege. I don't think there is a white privilege, but
Which to me then helps us to understand why Rhode Island a couple of years ago was voted as the third worst state for blacks to live in. Tiny Rhode Island.
You know, when I grew up here, I was scared to come to Federal Hill. Like, they always say, don't go over there. Black people can't go to Federal Hill, so I never went.
Smithfield, we used to get chased, and Federal Hill used to chase us.
We're coming out of India Point Park, and we're coming down South Main Street, parallel to the water. And cops pulled us over. All this hollering and screaming and shit. Nah, guns are out, get us. What?
I remember as a young kid walking into a restaurant and, you know, tortilla flats and just wanting to get some lunch with a friend of mine. And the guy came up to me and said, before you order, you need to take your money out your pocket and show me first before you guys can order food.
Guns to the head, we're on the ground, talking loud, boisterous as shit. They call, put us in the car, take us out, we're scared as shit. Bring us back out, and they're like, yeah, we pulled you over because your car fit the description of a getaway car for a robbery. A 1984 Fairmount station wagon.
In the old days, it was bad because a lot of black people complain about, oh, we gotta sit behind the bus in the back. Yeah. Spanish people, they never get on the bus. Yeah. If you didn't know how to speak English, they used to kick you down. They used to kick you off the bus. I was born in New York City, in Manhattan, but I was raised in the Bronx.
What was the reason that you came to Rhode Island? Like, why Providence, or not even Providence, why Rhode Island?
I could tell you that easy.
Yeah.
My parents want to take us out from the lifestyle. We're gonna be dead or in prison. Me, I go back to New York, back over here, back to New York, back over here. I was like a ping pong, boom, boom, bing, boom. Me and my brothers, you know, we was in, going to school, church when we was young, but later on, when we got a little older, we seen reality. What's real life? How to survive in New York City. Because New York City, you gotta know how to survive yourself. Because when you live in Brooklyn or Bronx, in the ghetto, it was all about survival. Our school life was the street life. We learned from the street, not in school. I didn't know how to read, I didn't know how to write. I learned how to read and write in 1993. And in the old days, the school system didn't help us. They used to pass you. Because they didn't want you in that school. They wanted, move them on. And I was in high school saying, I used to tell my friend, how I got here? I can't read, I can't write. Me and my brother, we living in Brooklyn, and when we moved to Queens, we seen these guys spinning. We went to a church jam, and we seen these guys spinning and everything. Me and my brother said, we want to be a part of that, let's go. And we met Dynamic Rockers.
See a whole big wall. You're gonna see more crosses around.
These guys are the Furious Rockers.
Which one is you? That one? Cool.
I'm the one in the middle. I was into gang life. Because you have to be in a gang if you live in New York, Brooklyn, or Bronx to be, not popular, but to make sure everything in your life was safe. Because if you're not in a gang, they chase you. A lot of things used to happen. I used to get chased a lot when I'm little. and got out a lot of trouble. So when hip hop came out, hip hop took me out of that. Kid Freeze, Eddie Ed Green Eyes, they call him Kid Spy now. They taught me and my brother. They took us from that wild style and put it to a different wild style into hip hop. Right here, this little guy in the corner with a Playboy bunny in the chest, that's what's me. That don't mean I was a player. In Rhode Island, my brother had the RTB. Wow. RTB was everywhere in Rhode Island. RTB mean return to burn.
Local crews, like the crew I was involved with, was RTB, Return to Burn. I showed you earlier, I showed you the shirt. This is the original Kid Rock. I am the original Kid Rock as far as I know. I'm sure there was plenty Kid Rocks out there, but this was the original Kid Rock from Return to Burn RTB. The original.
I had another crew called TMC, Top Master Crew. They was a good crew. They was into rapping, hip hop, everything.
We were just badasses. Hip hop was our bloodline. Anybody that begs to differ, that TMC, YCB, and the crews that I was around with, please come and see me and hash it out and let me know where you're from and what you did, because y'all know who the fuck I am and what the fuck I did. TMC, you know, that's my home. You know, right now it's TC5 because TC5 is prominent in New York, so I'm TC5. But I'll always be a TMC king, forever. And Juice started TMC. Of him being who he was, he went to New York, got down with the crew, the cool cats of New York. So eventually, some of those cats from New York would come to Rhode Island, to our USA, Doze and Scene. So, you know, having those kind of people around us kind of pumped us up to be like, yeah, we're like, you know, hood superstars in the hip hop industry. Because we was the cats. I was the cat, fuck that. I was one of the cats going through Hope with the sheepdogs, the hat matching, the 69ers, the Lees, the permanent crease. I had all that. The name buckles. You know, we was going to New York getting that shit, coming down, turning on Rhode Islanders.
Do you remember any big like battles with RTB in Rhode Island?
Oh, I didn't was there, but I know the biggest battle was RTB against TMC, Roger William Park.
Did these dance moves that like I'd never seen before, you know, the break dancing and everything, and it was like, wow. And I just never saw anything like that. And then the hysteria around them, like, you know, people following them off the stage, and then they, you know, had a little battle after the fact, you know, their showtime was over, but they said, well, forget it, we're just gonna keep dancing anyway. So they would do the break dance, and then they'd go over here and the crowd would follow behind them. So we was looking at each other like, oh man.
You know, but I'll be real, I was probably like 11, right? And so all I know was thousands of people. I think we all agree, thousands of people. And I hear somebody said some explicit something on the stage, and so-and-so can get off the something, and it was bad. And then I heard, and then noise, and then just people moving fast, a big fight.
The big thing you were talking about, that was a big battle. TMC say they won, RTB say they won. Now, if they want to go back to history, do that, do it again. TMC oldies, RTB oldies, battle each other, and do it again. That's what we're doing with Rocksteady and Dynamic. That's what we're going to put out there.
I wanted to run on that stage right then. I can't dance, but, you know, I had some rhymes at that point, so I was like, man, I'm going to be on that stage next time. We're going to do this. So next year we were actually the headliners. So we had made our way, we gotten on the radio, we did everything in that time frame.
it was, good to see, where you came from being in the crowd to being on that stage, and that happened a couple of times.
Al had the most extravagant attitude about everything. Al was unpredictable. He would say something that'd be unpredictable. Every rhyme, every word, everything was concise.
How did you pick up Buck?
That's a funny story. It is, it really is. We didn't have a DJ at first. Al would be the one that was making up the beats, because we used to just use instrumentals. Me and Buck grew up on the same side of town. We grew up in South Providence. Everybody used to talk about this DJ named Buck, but he never said, yo, I'm DJ Buck, blah, blah, blah. He just said, yo, you guys need to come by my house sometime, blah, blah, blah. I was like, yeah, boom, boom. I kind of blew it off.
If you had a party, if you can get Buck, you're doing pretty well for your life.
Me and Al went to this party at it was called
they call it the hole on the wall. And he was in there doing a party for somebody's birthday, and we rolled up on him.
And Buck was DJing. He was going off. I was like, that's Buck. And I was with Al. I was like, yo, he's going off. I was like, yo, we should go talk to him right now.
He was doing his thing. He was tearing up Rock Box by Run DMC at the time, I believe. And we were like, can we get on? Get in. He's like, I don't have no mic with me. And I was like, don't worry about it. I got a mic in my glove compartment. I'll be right back. So ran to the car, got the mic, we plugged it in, and we set it off in there. We went nuts.
Buck gave Al the microphone, and he put this beat on, and me and Al just started rocking. When we was rocking, Buck just started mixing this beat, and we went off. Oh, we rocked the whole party. And that was it. Buck became part of the Magical Four.
What's up, party people? And how do you do? We're gonna start the party off by introducing the crew. Al Shell, 21, stealing girls for fun. So when you see me walk by, grab your girl and run. Mr. G, I'm on my way, if I may convey. I'll bust a rhyme anytime for a reasonable pay. Xavier, the king macking out on the scene. Give respect from all elders, and I'm only 19. And that's DJ Buck, and he's the band. The final piece to the puzzle, and he's part of the plan. So tell me, what time is it? Time to get ill. So what we gonna do?
Next week, 3 or 4 days later, we're in his house with all his equipment there in his bedroom, and mom yelling every now and then, stop making all that noise. And in the middle of it, she's like, go play my numbers. We gotta get that done before he. But then he's like, all right, guys, hold up, I gotta take a break. I gotta go play the numbers, and then he would go out.
From the first time we said we practiced on the turntables and the mic, it was a team. It never stopped.
We just didn't just do songs. We was always, our shows was like a play,
Xavier can be right there, Al can be over there, his brother Big can be over there, G can be over there. They won't look at each other. Boom, 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 boom. Half a sentence, the next half. It's all making sense. And they're not even looking at each other. It was like magic. I'm like, these guys are incredible. And that's what caught me. Just sync. That's just one brain. And like 3 or 4 different bodies, one brain.
And Buck would have to be in the background, putting all this stuff together. He'd have to stop, set up the beatbox, take those records off, put another record on, and be ready to be on cue with the cut for that song. Buck would have the setup face. He'd be back there in the beginning of the show. He'd be back there like this. And when Buck had that face, you don't mess with Buck.
Guys can really rhyme. They can really rap. Back then, I would compare them to anybody in New York, because in back then, it was more of your stage performance had to be like the best. And if you have that and you can rhyme, you're good.
and dance. More girls crowd around, so the illin' enhance. I'm
We opened up for Melly Mel and the Furious 5. We opened up for Dougie Fresh, Run DMC.
You know, Run DMC, Grandmaster Flash and the Furious 5, Dougie Fresh. We were always the go-to act, you know, right before they went on. We would be on the bill and kind of warm the crowd up. And a couple times, you know, we did our thing. We stole the show a couple times and got some props from those guys.
So what we gonna do?
We did one morning wake up and hear on WRIU, the Rhode Island station, dudes out of Newport. You know, I don't know how they decided they wanted to mention me in something, and I can't even remember why, but they did. And my mom came in the room at that time, and she's like, "Hey, did he say your name?" I was like, "Yeah, he did, Ma." So 15 minutes later, I had the track down, you know, the rhymes down, hit Buck, hit Xavier, he called me, it was on, like, okay, you know. So we went in there and laid that down, Suckers, and never ever heard from them again. They never said anything. I don't think they rapped anymore or whatever.
It didn't take Al no time to write something because Al was a genius and it was so easy for him. He came over and said, we got to make a record. Xavier was another one. Xavier, he was from the South Side. Xavier was from a tough part. He was a tough kid growing up. He was ready for war. Xavier was built for war. And so when they put that song together, and we need a beat, bucking suckers, suckers. Put the headphones on, did the beat live right there, right in front of them live, and then we just pieced it together and put it on the radio, and that was the end of that. And nobody remembers what them kids said, and they will remember the suckers. And so sometimes you ask for it and you get a response, and that response is here to this day.
What's the name of this jam?
Suckers.
Who we talking about?
Suckers.
What's the name of this jam?
Suckers.
So who we gonna take out?
Suckers.
What's the name of this jam?
Suckers.
Who we talking about?
Suckers.
What's the name of this jam?
Suckers.
So who we gonna take out?
Suckers.
I'm short, but still standing taller than most of these duck MCs that brag and boast about what they're doing or really not doing. In reality, they're trying to get over on you and inflate their egos at our expense. And if you're asking me, I say it really doesn't make sense. Cause you know and I know, so they must know that when the truth comes out, where they're going to go. And that's down, down, all the way down, low enough to be considered as part of the ground. Call it a threat or a promise or whatever, but I mean it. I hope you're there so you can say, yo man, I seen it. I'm here to let you know in case you cannot tell. It's the one and only voice of Easy Ill Al Shell. Cause
just the song became so big in the neighborhood that you couldn't avoid it. You couldn't. The Suckers is talking about everything. Meet me on. He gives out his home address. Xavier gave his home address out on that record. You got a problem? Come see me on 24 something Street. He lived there.
I set that straight. And then Xavier, he's gangster. He's like, he put his real address on there. Like, come and see me at 24 something Street. You know, he was really, man, he didn't just me, but you said something about my boy, so.
And that's how that happened with BIU. We ended up going up there, playing the record from tape, I believe, a reel to reel. And from there on, went on and pressed it up ourselves.
what's the name of this jam? Suckers. So who we gonna take out?
There's a group of soft suckers who have to be taught, trying to take the fame and glory for which we fought. You think the battle is over?
Hip hop has always been about competition. You know, it's always been, if it's, you know, DJs DJ against each other, rappers rap against each other, break dancers, you know, as you see, you know, they compete against each other, graffiti writers, everything. Like all of the elements of hip hop coming to mind, it always based on competition. It was more or less me just checking the list of seeing, okay, like who's it that everyone's saying is the best artist out here? And at the time they said it was the Magical Four. I said, so we're taking a shot at the Magical Four. Like we're dissing them. Like it's only two of us, but I'm willing to battle all four of them if that's what we got to do. Cause I wanted to stir up that, I won't say controversy, but I wanted people to know, yo, we in the building and we ain't going nowhere. If you couldn't hit that stage at that skating rink where everyone was at, you was a nobody. So we get there one night and we're in the moment, and it's just like, everyone's there. I seen Xavier there, I seen Al Shell there, DJ Buck, who's my guy as well, but I said that line again. Dissing them again, in front of everybody, after I just told them I wasn't gonna do it anymore. So then, you know, Xavier was he was really upset over that, and you know, I think we didn't speak for a while. But then at the end of the day, I think we all understood, man. It's just music.
I'm ready to flow, cause I can move the crowd. Show and prove that I'm smooth but loud. I bust the rhymes, Jay's in back of me. Smooth the cool rhymer has the knack to be the best in my field. I'm claiming a victory. You're the king, that don't mean shit to me. I'm holding my own, been around for a long time. Choose to be smooth, but still bust a strong rhyme. Standing room only when it's time to perform. Setting correct and strong as a storm. You get the picture, I pose and you take it. Pass it to the ones who don't want me to make it.
Buck actually produced my single, Dropping Smooth Lyrics. And I remember he came to me, he produced other records for me, but that was the one that really stood out, like, you know. They got to the DJs in New York and they were playing it every single weekend. Because I have friends that from New York go, oh man, I heard your record, Red Alert played it, and Chuck Chill Out played it. And that was big for an artist from Rhode Island, you know, and I'm still thinking like, wow, like, this could really be something. You know, I'm thinking then, you know, I'm trying to be humble, like, I'm from Providence, like, this is supposed to happen? You know, we just didn't have a prototype. We didn't have anyone to base anything off of to say, this is how this particular person made it, so this is how I can do it.
This beat is dope and my lyrics are smooth. I got the smooth lyrics. Lyrics are smooth.
One particular label was interested in signing me. They had a lot of artists signed at the time, but they wanted me to change who I was and put on a suit. And I felt that was going to be the first thing. Overnight, first they change how you look. You know, if you want to do hardcore music and wear a suit, it just doesn't make sense. It's just a situation of you being so close and then nothing. And you can't help it because you know it's your life. So it's like, I just got tired of it. It was like that heartache for me. I was just like, I'm not doing this no more.
After living and seeing how the music game don't care about you and how you could be putting your heart and your soul, you could be putting everything into this, they'll treat you like you don't mean anything in the world.
I got the smooth lyrics. Lyrics are smooth. Peace.
G went off to college, and so he moved to California. And then, so it was me and Al, you know, which we did keep going. And I went to college too, a different one. You know, basically I went off to jail. You know, once you get into that cycle of going to prison, you know, it's like you're either going to stop cold turkey or you're, you know, and work a 9 to 5, or you're just gonna, and it's hard, you know, it's hard to go from having thousands of dollars in your pocket to working a 9 to 5, you know, and having a couple $100 a week, you know, because that's what it was back then, you know. Like, you know, you're talking about, you know, the end of the 80s and the 90s, you know, it was a couple $100 a week working in factories. I didn't even have, you know, I haven't even gotten my GED yet. I dropped out of high school, but I was on the streets tough. And I was, you know, making money, so we was gonna try to press another record, but I was gonna try to put more money behind it this time because I was making money. Before we could finish anything, you know, I got arrested and G was in, you know, California. I was in prison, and all that was done.
I'm going to the store and I got crackheads smoking crack out of a Coca-Cola can on my street, you know what I'm saying? And I'm seeing that with my own eyes, and I'm like 8, 9 years old, you know what I'm saying? And I'm like, oh shit, damn, these people out here smoking crack out here like it's nothing, you know what I'm saying? And then I walk and I'm seeing all the crack bottles on the floor. I'm counting them. I'm counting how many reds, how many blues. Oh, that's a different type of bottle, a little brown type bottle. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is my observations as a kid. You know what I'm saying? I'm looking down from my grandmother's apartment, looking down on the block where everything is moving, the dope dealers, the crackheads, everything is just happening, and it's like, I'm looking at it like, what is this?
My name is Nikichi Taifa. I serve as Legislative Counsel for the American Civil Liberties Union, Washington office, and coordinator of the Committee Against the Discriminatory Crack Law, an organization of over 20 civil rights and criminal justice groups which have joined together to educate the public and Congress to the unwarranted disparity in sentencing between crack and powder cocaine.
Violence comes in all types of forms. It comes in domestic violence, it comes in drug abuse, it comes in neglect, it comes in privilege, it comes in policies, it comes in laws. So all these things attribute to violence. So nonviolence is the remedy for all of that. Nonviolence is a solution to how we can solve mostly all our problems using these philosophy and methods. So it's not just about who's out here shooting, because some of the worst violence that happens are the people in the suits. They're the ones that cause the most violence.
Possession of 5 grams of crack cocaine carries a federal mandatory minimum sentence of 5 years without parole for a first offender. But possession of cocaine in its powdered form carries no mandatory minimum sentence at all. Offenders could qualify for probation. Nearly 92% of all defendants sentenced for federal crack cocaine offenses in 1992 were black.
When I first got in, the first thing I thought about was, wow, the project is dead. You know, then you think about all the money you just lost. You know, but, you know, and then think about all the, you know, and think about the project, you think about all the things you were doing, and, you know, then the reality check is, you know, you're going to jail, you know, and then, you know, find out how much time you're doing, you know. Then, you man up, you know, and you have to realize, you know, you got to do time.
I think people think about, you know, marginalization as this horrible thing. And yes, there are aspects of marginalization that are extremely oppressive. And we see that with black and brown bodies laying in the street, right? So I'm not going to deny that at all. But the beautiful thing about being on the margins, and this goes back to intersectionality, is that it gives me a different lens through which to understand some things. In that kind of sight, there's a duality of pain and joy. And oftentimes we think about the pain, but we don't think about the joy.
What's the name of this jam? Suckers. Who we talking about? Suckers. What's the name of this jam? Suckers. So who we gonna take out?
By this time, Magical 4 has already dropped his single. D Smooth drops his single. So like now I know 2 people in the hood that got vinyl. That's real. Like at that time, that was real shit. You know what you had to do to get on a vinyl? Independent. It was a major accomplishment. So now, now I want to chase it now. Now I want to chase it the way they're chasing it. Like, I'd like to have and that was everybody's big thing. Like, I want a single. I want to be immortalized on wax.
If you came to Providence looking for who was the crew, no, it wasn't the Body Bag Boys. It was B.I.T.
The name says it all, man, and that's what you have to, if you got a crew and the name is Suspect, they gonna think you suspect, you know, but Bold Island Troopers, like B.I.T., because we bold, we from the island, and we troop, and there's a troop of us. You know what I mean? We used to run sometimes 40 deep.
B.I.T. meeting, huh? Whoa, that's going back some ways. Where's the meeting? The meeting's at Southside Boys and Girls Club. I show up at Southside Boys and Girls Club. It's just a sea of black and brown faces up in the stands.
40 people. Can you imagine seeing 40 black kids coming at you out of nowhere? That's fucking scary, man. That's really scary. And then none of them are, we ain't trying to harm nobody. We just trying to have a good time, you know?
You know, we just went out to have a good time where a lot of people in Providence was involved in violence and beef, and different sides of towns was shooting. This group of young men that I was involved with, we was on a different type of time.
If you were in the stands and you were a believer in those 5 tenets of the Bold Island Troopers, then Bold Island Troopers wanted you to join its membership.
GD, WTB, can I get down with the brown niggity knuckles? Can I get funky Vinny? Can he kick my sound?
The height of BIT, we've got a music group that's chasing rap. We're on the radio, we're throwing parties, we're doing community work, we're doing plays. You know what I mean? So like we're really becoming this living, breathing thing.
Peace, love, knowledge, music, and money.
The way I always saw it was, with peace comes love. With love, we're able to sit down and gain knowledge from each other through communication. And, you know, music is the universal language of all. And with those 4 combined, money is no longer the root of all evil, just a way to exchange goods and services.
Come with me, my sweet, as we go from the studio. Shh. I think the DJ's in here.
Yeah, welcome back to Rhythm and Rhyme on WBRU 95.5 FM.
The Grinch and DJ Chameleon.
I was the DJ there, and I was the first hip hop DJ at WBRU. We had the first rap show called Rhythm and Rhyme on WBRU. I knew Providence rap through Lad, and I knew Providence rap through BIT. BIT to me was the biggest group in Rhode Island, and BIT to me should have been the next Leaders of the New School, the next Das Effects, the next Lords of the Underground, the next Black Sheep. One of those 4 groups, they fit right in the pocket of those groups. That's how a big of an impact they had on me. It went boom boom, boom 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 boom, boom, and as soon as I heard that, and the drums came in, boom boom, boom boom, boom boom, boom boom, and there's Lad rapping over top of this beat, and I'm like, this is the hottest track I've ever heard, and Lad is killing it.
Now was it wicked about the bear who had no hair, but if it had no hair, was it fuzzy, does he even care? Oh yeah! But over the job, the hope for the rapper to come across, instead of becoming around the mountain shouting, let him get a ready. I talk spaghetti, or come up with Jesus, practice, pose, and second, the bit, the tip of the stack. Haven't heard my baby 100 tracks, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, rock around the clock.
The combination, that's what it's all about. When you're a group, it's about the dynamics of that group, right? You can look at how dope Boo was and how dope Lad was, and you put them together and they're doper again. And you had Shan, they 3 times dope. You had 7 cats in BIT, they 7 times dope.
Now we get the great idea that let's use the van as a shuttle. And when we have our parties, we'll go to 3 strategic locations through Providence. We're going to Billy Taylor Park, we're going to Chad Brown, meet us right in the basketball courts, and we're at the Boys Club. And these 3 spots, if you're trying to get to our party, it's $1. It's $1 up, it's $1 back.
So in an effort to bring more and more people to our parties, which were the greatest parties in Providence, I might add, we bought a bus so that we could provide transportation to and from the party.
I'm disappointed. I'm really disappointed that they did not blow up. Hip hop has really been deprived of some hot artists in Rhode Island. to this day, as much music as I've made to this day, I've never got a reaction from a piece of music that I got from this guy at Columbia, to a point where he was like, you talking about breaking your neck? His neck was broke. But he played that song. We sit in his office. I had 4 songs from the Mudder Buckets. He played that song 4 times in a row. When I left that meeting, I said, oh, we definitely got a deal. That's a deal. This is done. Man, we didn't get the ring back. He said, oh, we're still thinking. We called him. Oh, we're still thinking about it. Oh, yeah, well, yeah. Well, I like it. I'm presenting to my peoples. His peoples didn't go for it. And I still think that if they had the cosign from somebody that was already in the industry, it would be done deal.
That was the one thing, if I would say any regrets, we just didn't have a real guiding adult hand to say, like, this is how you can continue this. Because what essentially happened is we got older. We got older and priorities started to set in. And you had to start making choices. I became a father early on, and so did a couple of others shortly after. So now you gotta start weighing your options, and is this a viable way to make money and survive? But you can't tear yourself away from it. We didn't know where to go from there.
The first person here was a Dominican woman and her husband, who was from Puerto Rico. And she would go to New York to purchase all the things for her store. And every time she went, people would hop in the car with her because they had heard her stories about Rhode Island and how much she loved it. And they would come and they would visit. And once they got here, they fell in love with it, so they stayed. When you live in an urban, huge city like New York, and then you come to Rhode Island, especially in the 50s, it was a little bit less urban then. They just liked the idea of a feeling of what Fefa called it was like paradise.
They were told that Providence is quiet, this town out there, that there's a lot of factories and a lot of work. You should go there. So a lot of the family came to Providence because there were factories was all over, they were open, and there was jobs for people who wanted to work, you know what I'm saying? So our people don't have a problem with working. We've worked in the heat, out on the fields, in the water, with rice and yuca and all kind of stuff. And you come here and they're telling you they're gonna pay you by the hour to do this easy ass job. You know what I'm saying? Everybody's just started coming. I mean, MacMen 1992 was our year. We rose from something that really wasn't. You know what I'm saying? Like, we were the first Spanish rap group rapping in front of all blacks. You know what I'm saying? Nobody was doing that. The Spanish people really stayed away. They didn't understand everything. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of them stayed away. We were the Americanized, hip-hop loving Latinos. In 92, we was the only group in New England, Spanish rap group, that was doing shows everywhere, opening up for like Gangstar and doing contests and all the schools and the clubs. A lot of Spanish guys at that moment decided they can grab the mic too. We made it cool and something that you can do if that's what you want to do, because here we are doing it. We going to Rocky Point doing, you know what I mean? Thousands of people are out there, we're performing, and the people are going crazy like we famous already, you know what I'm saying? Like, if this was YouTube era, we'd be like 1 million, 2 million views, you know what I'm saying?
My name is Crook Rock, the Grind King. I've been doing this for 20-something years. I'm 40 and fresh. That's my motto. I'm 40 and fresh. When I'm 50, I'll be 50 and free. But for right now, I got it in me to rock this.
Then, you know, we finished school, and after everybody graduates, now it's about money. You gotta survive. You know, mom and dad you ain't going to school, so we ain't gonna be taking care of you, so you better go to work. Now is when the crime starts to happen, you know what I'm saying? Now it's just like, damn, I need to make money. You just get caught up in that life, and like I said, the music is encouraging it. The music is encouraging the life. When Wu-Tang comes out and they're talking all this rah-rah and Biggie's talking all this, you know, Gucci and all this other stuff, and, you know, we're following it, we're loving it. You know what I'm saying? But we're not realizing that, wait a minute, it's changing. You know, you got Snoop Dogg and they're talking about murdering, smoking, drinking, all kind of stuff, and we thinking it's the coolest shit on earth. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is dope. Oh, man. So we started to get a little rough and rugged. We started to want to sell drugs. We wanted to be on the block. We want to be the toughest guys. We want to say that we got the guns when the other guys don't have guns. You know what I mean? Like, all that took place, and we didn't know that it was really a setup.
After the 90s, maybe like 97, 98, 99, almost up to 2000, is when it really started to change. It really started to change, and it just didn't sound the same. Even just the spirit of it was different. It just, the message was different. A lot of it was just, it wasn't that soul of hip hop.
For a case, give me St. Ange brew. In the mix of broken bottles and crushed up cans. Met the cows in the jam, oh how dry.
It's with St. Ange in my system.
So the artists and the regular people are misguided, because I too was misguided, because I thought it was just a natural progression of hip hop. So I'm following what I believe is natural. I didn't know that there was an agenda. I didn't know that there were super rich people that had, you know, come up with a way to control the masses so that they could sell them products, alcohol, clothing, all this other stuff. I had no clue about that. I'm not thinking about that stuff. I'm just loving the culture. So like, I'm feeling like I'm more hip hop if I'm in the streets, if I'm smoking weed, if I'm selling weed. You know what I'm saying? I feel like I'm more hip hop because that's what the top rappers is talking about.
When rap became a cash cow, it took hip hop and left everything else behind it. It wasn't supposed to.
Next thing you know, I'm locked up for violence, for thinking impulsively, from drinking too much alcohol. You know what I'm saying? Everything that they implanted was used against me in my decision. I got locked up and I came out on bail in '98. I started to put more expression into the music. I started to say, you know what? I gotta put the feelings that I'm feeling every day because I'm out on bail for murder. You know what I'm saying? And here I am, like, in this predicament where life ain't looking too positive for me.
Not to get right with you, damn. I gotta get right with you.
I'm losing. I'm in pain. I'm stressed out. You know what I'm saying? My future's uncertain. I came out in 2002, end of 2002. I was still on the bracelet for another 10 months. And at that time, I was recording. Some of the songs I wrote when I was locked up, some of the songs I wrote when I was out. My brother produced most of the beats. I just put something together that I thought was dope, you know? And then I ended up getting a record deal. I still was focused on trying to make the records that may be good for radio, maybe, you know, for the liking of a certain type. It helped me expand as a recording artist, but the music that I was creating was not truly impactful. They abandoned the project. So Universal Latino was distributing this, and they still released it, but it was a very small amount of copies that were released in certain areas, and no promotion, no press conference, nothing was done, that it was just dead. the project was just dead. I was not going back to my 2 jobs. You know what I'm saying? So if I gotta hustle and sell CDs and keep riding around, and so I just started selling the mixtapes, and I'll put my music on there, I'll put my face on there. People even hated on that. Why is Crook Rock putting his face on a CD with Daddy Yankee and Shakira? Because he can, why not? You wish you could do it too, you know what I mean? It became my business. I wasn't making money off rapping. The money, upfront money, that came and went, you know what I'm saying? So my business became selling CDs. It allowed me to be me. Like really, it was through the mixtape game that me recording whatever I want to record, whenever I want to record, and put it on a CD, and put out my feelings, and stop being about what's hot, and trying to be liked by everybody, instead of just, I want to just say the realest shit, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know that all of y'all is tired of that sucker shit. And if it ain't teaching you, what the fuck is it? A waste of your time to put your mind to that rhyme. I say it's by design, you say it's a change of tides. I got patient and created while the dates went by. Got faded and related to the average guy. Made it through the shadows, but it's all battles. I did my 9-year sentence, so casual. But I missed my 20s and it was kinda heavy. Now I'm moving life and stepping right to the check.
Brief history on hip hop. Yeah. You know about hip hop, right? Right? And I'm telling them where I got started with my clothing store. Yeah. And I had to take him here. Oh, yeah. Sato's Tailor Shop. He's been around for how many years?
35.
35 years. And he was brave enough to take a hip hop crew in here and allow us to sell clothes for 3 months. And then we started scaring his customers. But we started doing good, right?
Yeah.
Doing good business, right?
Oh yeah, he was doing good, yeah.
Yeah. So what did you think about our store at the time, Poem?
Yeah, it was good.
It was good.
It was
yeah.
very good.
The original Poem shop was the original hip-hop shop of Rhode Island because it incorporated all the aspects of hip-hop, you know, the graph, the clothing, the b-boying, and it just became a local hub for hip-hoppers and soon-to-be hip-hoppers to get educated, to buy gear, and just to, you know, kick that underground philosophy stuff that we used to do. Thank you, Sato.
Okay,
all right, good to see you, man.
Yeah.
You're looking good, man. You're looking good.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Yeah.
I came down the street one day, and I looked at this building. Everything was vacant. We walked across the street, and this was vacant. The facade was a little bit different. And this corner store was vacant. It had boards all the way up and down. Boards were like top to bottom. And I loved the corner. I loved the triangle corner. And I seen that it was a small spot. It was just perfect for a boutique. Up there we would do our mixtapes, and Tom, Gary, Richie, you'll meet Richie later. They would do our mixtapes up there. We would deal with DJ Clue, Tony, every DJ that was going on back that was out at that time. Funk Master Flex, Kid Capri, SNS, you know, Camilo, everybody you know back then. We were buying their masters, $100, $200, up to $500 for a master. And then we would mass produce. We were going through at least 1,000 blank cassettes every week. And that was just, and then we eventually brought the DJs to Rhode Island, and then we started doing, you know, more parties and shows and stuff like that. This really kicked off the era, at least 13 years of Poem, the clothing store. Living in Prospect Heights was a housing development, which we call the projects, because Prospect Heights was a tough neighborhood. Back then, projects were really tough. So a lot of violence, you know, murders, drugs, eventually. But in the home, safe, really strict mother, Catholic. Hip hop was a really big part of my upbringing because it was a subculture and a part of my ethnicity, you know, and it's just a diverse culture that really, like, food, clothing, music, really like shaped who I became. This downtown area where you could see the old store, you could see City Hall, and that historic church is pretty, and the the Blackstone River over there. You got Off the Hook that's down here now. There used to be one of the stores in Pomelands. I used to dream big, so I could see beyond Pawtucket from up here. My heroes, and not to take this the wrong way, were basketball players and drug dealers. And I say that because some of them were great basketball players, and some of them were drug addicts. Some of them were great basketball players, and some of them were drug dealers. And I'm like, man, they're so great, and I want to be like them, but I just don't want to do that, you know? So I tried. You know, I had my own battles in life with illegal business in some forms, in some fashion, but that wasn't my story. But I've learned, and I literally absorbed, extracted out of them the quality things that I seen that inspired me. That's what set me into business. I learned how to do business to people who was flipping other things, you know, but I didn't want to do that, and I wanted the best for them, and I seen people go to jail, I've seen people lose their lives, I've seen people become addicts in my family and in the community, and in my heart, it was in my heart of hearts, I've always wanted to see the right thing happen in my community. Inside, deep inside, it was always there. So I think I had this unusual, I don't know why, maybe it was God-given, I don't know, to see past people's flaws and say, you know, I want to be like that. I just don't want to do some of the things they do. This building, which was a historically known mini mall called the Mill River Arcade. I mean, you could go see Santa Claus in there back then. I mean, people were just flocking to this mall. We moved in there with several other stores who took the risk of, you know, jumping aboard of what we wanted to establish as the first hip-hop mall, I guess, locally at least. And it became that for a little while. And so now it's the Grant, but this used to be Pomelands Mall.
The tile that's laid out on the ground floor was all put in by young b-boys, young kids that wanted to learn to breakdance. They would do breakdance classes there. You had a record store there, a beeper shop, right? Like a Tella something store. You had Off the Hook that sold clothing, and our first studio, C&J Records, was in there, and Pomeland's clothing store. And Pome was like the biggest distributor of like New York mixtapes in the Northeast. So people were coming from all over, from Maine down, to come and get tapes from P to go and sell at their stores in like New Bedford and different spots of Connecticut and things like that. So that was the hub. The energy of those cats from the 90s and in the early 2000s is still there. You know, I feel it every day.
Pome meant to me was respect, you know, love, you know, integrity, dignity, you know, representing all aspects of the hip hop culture, you know, not selling bootleg clothing, you know what I mean? Being authentic and being an original. You know, people stop me today, yo, what's up, man, Pome, man? Yo, Sean G, this Pome, man, that's Pome right there. I mean, it's crazy. You know, how many people remember me from there? You know, how's Paris doing? What's up with Paris? Oh man, y'all should open up again. We hear that so much.
Do you know what to sport this year? Have you heard about that fly store called Pome Action Wing? Strictly what? Hip hop gear? Do you know what you want to sport? Do you want to get caught up in? The bootleg drama is a sin. I grin. At the competition, there's none, son. There's only Pome, skip the false ones. We transmit righteous understanding, unity for fulfillment for that triple nickel movement. And I'm proud of the Nubian brothers, because when I was first down, they spread love to me, word to mother. Now we're breaking 88 North with my mixtapes in the zone with my man Maurice Malone. And you know we come equipped, but we keep it on the D-Lo or within our urban circuit. And we trying to maintain, driving 48 hours, pumping 98 octane. Now that's one chapter by code. So when you hear Pome Action, you better act like you know, B. So bam, by any means, pick the Pomelands, downtown Pawtucket, 9 broad like Shazam. Peace, love, respect when you're coming through that door. 722-1234. And don't forget the fly DJ mixtapes. We're representing love on this 9-6 plate. That's an old commercial. And all those are names of the brands that we carried in the store.
Yeah, he created that himself.
So Pawtucket, you had like Pome, the Pome crew, and you know, Paris and all those guys from the Heights, and they were like, those are my idols. I looked up to those guys like they were gods. And then I was fortunate to be able to be at the table and really like, you know, in the car of changing that and bringing like a new, you know, I don't know, like a new life to the hip hop scene in Pawtucket.
We giving you a rush right here at 08. Now listen, R&B and hip hop groups is what we got. Second group is here right now. Look at them. They are already Casanovas with the crowd. What's the name?
Yo, my name is Chachi Cavallo, representing Rhode Island, the smallest island. I got my man Zay right here.
Yeah.
Okay. They're holding it down. Answered all the other questions. So what's the name of your original song?
The name of the song is called Like I Do, produced by 15-year-old producer Z Jennings, recorded in the Beatbox studio right at home.
All right.
Know what I mean?
So y'all want to see what he do?
Yeah.
We want to see what he does. Y'all show some love for Chachi representing Providence, Rhode Island, and go ahead and wild out, baby.
Yeah. What up, BT?
CR had the studio, and he already had a name for himself through like his mixtape circuit. Eighth Wonder was already making a name for himself as a producer. Roulette was already like big. Then shortly after that, when we all combined, we really started building momentum. We put out vinyl for Roulette that ended up being picked up on CMJ music charts. It like charted, and we started doing shows, and we had like rap beef, and it was just like everything that, you know, that was happening on mainstream hip hop was happening here on a smaller scale. But when you're in a small community, it just feels big. And then we all kind of got like puffed up with like, yes, we got this, we're gonna do this. And we were getting play on the radio, like a lot of play, like on all the college radio stations locally. And we were like the little label that should have. We were young, we were wild, a little bit reckless, and we were making noise. And man, we had something. We had like sold out shows here in the state. We opened up for every single major act that came into town. And like big, like some shows we stole the show. Eventually, you know, all good things sometimes come to an end, especially when you have so many different, we were all very different people, you know, with different agendas. Even though we all loved each other, we all believed in that we all were talented, but we never were able to come together to like decide on a direction so we could all move in the same direction. So, you know, there were times where I was bitter because I was like, my music isn't really getting pushed, you know? And then we formed a group, and, you know, the group stuff was getting pushed. Then we had, you know, it was just like, it was like a strange hierarchy. And eventually it just kind of came crumbling down on us. Hip hop. This is just handwritten in cursive. You know what I mean? Handwritten in cursive. You'll see different times. You know what I mean? Led to different ideas. Gospel songs and hooks written on paper. I had all of these outside pressures on me, so I was like easily embarrassed, and I'm like really ashamed of that now, like when I think back, because I missed out on a lot of like really cool things based on the fact that I just kind of turned a blind eye and deaf ears to it. And one of those things was my Cape Verdean culture. I was like embarrassed when my parents would come into school and like have conferences with my teacher, but were like had like a deep accent. And I'm like, man, that was like, now I know that that's the beauty of it, you know, that they're so much more well off than those teachers ever would be because they speak 3 and 4 languages. You know, I just didn't know. It took a while. When I finally started to like embrace the culture and trying to like fuse Cape Verdean music in with my music, I realized that like it's always been a part of me.
it's so good. I dedicate this to my whole hood, thousands of miles away. In Rhode Island, rep the culture we from, we say 11th Island, and I ain't never been there yet. But I hold Cape Verde in my heart, and I rep till death, do us part. My pops, he was smart, taught us about the food and the land, the music and the art. And he spent a lot of time taking shots, singing Mornings and Kinti. He said it felt South said B, and I imagine how he felt when he saw me rapping live on TV, wearing a shirt that said CV, repping the Cavallo name, and I made it look easy.
You know, in true hip hop tradition of like sampling, I started sampling classic Cape Verdean records and doing my own spin on it, and a couple of them just caught on and hit. And this past August, I just returned from my 16th trip in 5 years.
They're wondering if I can speak Creole. Ouvi, chame de bom cosa, maneira de vida te troca. Tchau coisa com que te gosta, agora que te importa. Pontapé na porta, que força, já me jogar. É sempre papai e manchubinha, inha tia xalá. E gente não direito, es boca te gosta a maneira, só te chamo kid. Ixa te man branco e preto, é sempre cá verde, minha gente não junta. Representing Sunset, I'm the one you gotta get used to.
All for music. I played some of the biggest, all of the biggest festivals in Cape Verde, 100,000 people singing my song. So that felt, words can't describe that. And I just wish my dad was able to see that, you know. That was like one of my biggest regrets, because he eventually ended up becoming like my biggest fan.
So do you want to do like a 5 harmony? Yeah. So you got the octaves. You want like a 5 or a 3?
Yeah, let's try it.
Let me run it back.
So, like instead of it being 2 choruses back to back. At
the end. So yeah. So I was thinking that instead of 2 choruses back to back at the end, you would just have 1 chorus and then she's gonna ad lib at the end.
You did that tone.
Yep.
And then did a higher to get, but like keep this and then yes.
Yeah, that's what. Yep. Like do the octaves. That's what I was asking before. So I'm glad. Yes.
No, you definitely harmonize it. What I.
My name is Oliver Arias, but I go by Sideshow, MC/B-boy. I always say, was it B-boy by day, MC by night.
Back to get wrecked. All respect to those who break their necks to keep their rhymes in check. Cause they sweat a brother majorly. And I don't know why this A&R's paging me.
Like, that's crazy that you rap and you break, like, you know, no one does that. And that's what I pride myself on the most, is being able to like do both arts just as good as anybody, even though I'm focused on 2 of them at the same time. You know what I mean? And like, I was like, yeah, I want to be the Michael Jackson of hip hop.
His pocket's getting fatter. I make music, but he gonna be climbing ladders. And I ain't saying that.
You know, growing up in South Providence, it's very easy to get into like, you know, this like, I want to say like mainstream type of living, where it's like, you're kind of just like involved in like, you know, staying in neighborhoods, hanging out with the kids that like, you know, just deal drugs and like, you know, just party all the time. Like I was kind of like, I did that when I was 16, you know, it was like very easy to get into that kind of stuff. Like through hip hop, I was able to like climb out of that. I linked up with, you know, some friends from like high school, and they were like, yeah, we're hanging out at this park, and we're just like, we just dance and we just hang out. You know, some people just dance, some people just like chill or whatever, and so I like, yeah, I started checking it out, and had a floor there. We were like going there and just like dancing, just hanging out. Like this is where we were dabbling. We consider ourselves like real B-boys, and like, you know, I didn't even know what the hell that meant. I went through like a 4-month period where I wasn't like working at all, and like that was like really rough because I was like making any money, and like, you know, I was still dancing constantly. And those 4 months were probably the most crucial 4 months of my life that, you know, that made me who I am today, because those are the times where like I was broke, but I had all the time in the world to work on my art. After those 4 months were over, after everything that I went through, that's when I landed the job at the Boys and Girls Club in Newport. I met up with like a group of kids that were already dancing, already breaking, and they just needed like a mentor to like, you know, teach them like foundation, but also like bring them into the scene. Yeah, I was asked by world-renowned B-boy El Nino to join Floor Lords, and he was like, yo, like I heard, you know, you're a free agent, and I really love your energy, like I really like the things that you do, and I want to like invite you to be a part of the Floor Lords. And I was like, yo, I'm down, man. Like that was like I was like, damn, dude, like one of like the best b-boys in the world, like hit me up and told me that I was dope, and I was like, yo, that's crazy. So I told him, I was like, yo, that's an honor to me, you know what I mean? Like I've always looked up to you guys and like saw like the jams that you guys throw, and like it makes sense that now I'm part of such like an awesome, you know, group of people that are so dedicated to like, you know, to being, you know, just the best, or just like, you know, just like people that are just like happy about being around each other constantly, and like just like vibing out, and like it doesn't have to be about dancing, but you know, just being a family, you know what I mean? It's really awesome to be around a group of people that are like just as motivated as I am, you know, if not even more, which is great because I want to be around people that are like above me, you know. That's like one of my things. I like being around people that are better than me at what I love to do, because that's how you get better, you know, that people that are willing to push you.
Imagine that, yeah, we holding on to this.
But right now I'm also working on my album, Sideshow the Maestro, due to release in December 2016. And that's like a 9-song album. That piece of work is gonna be like my most proud piece of work, because I'm putting in, you know, a lot of time and effort into that, more than I've ever done for any of my projects. And I really care about it because I'm gonna use this album as a vehicle to like connect with like everyone. Like I'm gonna try to promote this like all over the world as much as I can. You know what I mean? Just to see what happens, you know. I want to encourage other artists to leave Providence, because Providence is awesome, but if you just stay here, you're just limited to like, you know, to the audience here. People are like, yeah, you do a lot, like you're doing a lot with your life. And I guess though I don't look at it that way, like I always look at it, I could be doing more, and I'm just gonna continue to like dance. I'm gonna continue to write and continue to teach and help people. And if it doesn't go anywhere, like, you know, as far as like, you know, publicity, that doesn't really matter to me. Like I'm good now. I'm really like proud about where I am today, you know. Like it's a blessing for sure.
I swear my head is full with dark noise. To overcome that, I speak with a strong voice. Cause it's easy to make the wrong choice. Little man transforming into these grown boys. So while you're dreaming about a Rolls Royce, keep waiting for that. Good comes to those that work while they're breaking it back. It ain't no waiting for my place in the map. Cause guarantee I'm just making it happen. These false moves get erased in the past. Imagine that.
When I was in Magical 4, back in my younger teens, I really thought success was all about, you know, having a hit record, you know, doing tours and all of that, you know. But definitely I see that that's not success, really. That's fame.
I don't know if this, you know, looking back, if it's a curse, but being signed was never, like if I'd got signed, it would have been dope, but like being signed was never what it was all about. It was never all about being signed. It was fun chasing a dream, because now you're doing shows, we're opening acts, and you know, you're living a life, but it was just the allure to the stage, man. It was just being able to be an MC, being able to captivate a crowd with your words, being able to take these folks on a little vacation, take a break from all the bullshit that's going on, and you know what I mean, and they smiling, and you evoking emotion and shit, and there's an attachment, there's an attachment that's unfucking real, it's unparalleled, you know what I mean?
It's not an R&B record like the one he did with Kalani either. It's kind of like what we were thinking right now, like in that vein. So.
Can you hear?
All right.
Yes. I have Kevin Church here for Big Man.
Okay.
Okay.
It does change my view of success. I've seen people with big records and may not be successful right now. They may not be happy with it right now. But for that small period in time, they are happy. So you gotta ask yourself, is this small period of success worth it in the long run? Because when I can have this long period of success, if I do something differently. fast money that's gonna last a little bit of time, or you want to take $10 for 20 years, or do you want to take $100 in 1 week, whatever? Give me your $10. I think I'm better off that way. Some of the most successful people are the biggest people you hear on the radio or see on TV, not the happiest people. At that moment they are. But if everything's, the duck's not in order, the business is not right, this is not right, you know, it's not gonna last.
Success is being able to do what you love to do, being happy with it. We have multiple talents and treasures inside of us that are limitless because we come from a creator that is limitless. So as long as we have breath, we have an opportunity to express that creative limitlessness, right? And so as an individual human being, I think connecting with God is the most important. Expressing who you are, but also with a purpose to make change, to make positive change, and to connect people with the creator.
If I am successful at what I do right now, some will say I am, you know, I don't know if I'm okay. I think it's community.
This is the community. This is our community. We are each other.
The people you deal with, the people that you associate with, speaks a lot for your character, you know, as a person. So if I'm hanging with Joe Smo over here, my character is gonna be like some bullshit, you know? But these guys, man, most of them, I wanna say at least 85 to 90% of them now are very successful.
I really could say that. Now that we're sitting here having this conversation, I never really sat and thought about it, but BIT helped a lot, helped me more ways than I ever thought about. And I think I could say that for most of the BIT people, because I think a lot of most of the crew of BIT are all doing well, you know, families, businesses, jobs. They're doing all right, healthy, still alive. I might have been the only jackass that went to jail out of the crew, so.
For me, in the music that I did at the time, it was purely about what me and my friends were going through. My friends didn't necessarily have the talent or the platform that I had, so I took my experiences along with their experiences and wrote it out. We don't mind that no one else understands it. People can understand, like, why are these guys wearing construction Timberlands in the summer? It's hip hop. You know, why are these guys or these girls dressing a certain way and talking a certain way and, you know, acting a certain way? It's just like we've always been influenced by hip hop. We've been influenced by the culture so much, it became a way of life.
It's really embedded into the fabric of your being. It influences your morals and values. It influences your belief system. It influences the type of vibes that you gravitate toward.
Just try my best to, you know, make money and show my family what it means to be an artist, and also like, you know, like show them that this is like, there's a future in this, you know.
I get a call, they're playing your record on Hot, and they said, New York's playing your record. I'm like, what? Found they was playing the record. They heard us. The best feeling in the world. Because for a long time, you don't think that you're 2-3 blocks to listen. You know, but when you get the word that other people heard you, it's like, whew, all that work wasn't for nothing.
What's the name of this jam? Suckers. Who we talking about? Suckers. What's the name of this jam? Suckers. So who we gonna take out? Suckers. What's the name of this jam? Suckers. Who we talking about?
Oh, see, this is dope. This is crazy.
Who we gonna take out? I'm short, but still standing taller than most of these duck MCs that brag and boast about what they're doing or really not doing in reality.
Over on you and inflate their egos at our expense. And if you're asking me, I say it really doesn't make sense. Cause you know, and I know, so they must know that when the truth comes out, where they're going to go. And that's down, down, all the way down, low enough to be considered as part of the ground. Call it a threat or a promise or whatever, but I mean it. I hope you're there so you can say, yo man, I seen it. I'm here to let you know in case you cannot tell. It's the one and only voice of Easy Ill Al Shell. Cause the A for all the fresh rhymes I rock. The L for the ladies that are on my jock. The S for superb, describing all my rhymes. The C for chill, because I do it all the time. The H for the hell that I love to raise. The E for everybody giving me praise. The L for the loving that I do so well. The other L's the last letter. What's my name? Al Shell. What's the name of this jam? Suckers. Who we talking about? Suckers. What's the name of this jam? Suckers. So who we gonna take out?
If you can't stand the heat, then get out of the kitchen. This is my rhyme and this is my mission. To kill all suckers or even destroy, cause to see them in pain is what I enjoy. Now you open your mouth just like a bitch. You talk about my posse, now you're taking a risk. The last B-boy that tried such a feat, well, we'll leave him alone and let him rest in peace. You ever come to town, then my Uzi goes to work on you and your boys or any other jerks who come to this town and can't get down while I'm wasting my time on these two big clowns. To say one thing is something else, but what you did is to punish yourself. Now there's no more half-stepping, just expect more. Mr. G won the battle, now I declare war.
What's the name of this jam? Suckers. Who we talking about? Suckers. What's the name of this jam? Suckers. So who we gonna take out?
There's a group of soft suckers who have to be taught, trying to take the fame and glory for which we fought. You think the battle is over? Well, it just started, cause Xavier is mad and I'ma act retarded. You talk about my crew? What is that crap? Instead of working on your talking, you should work on your rap. I'm the MC King living in P-Town. If you keep popping lip, I'm gonna hunt you down and diss you, your crew, your family too. I'll even dish your dog and cat before I'm through. You saying, why am I mad? You didn't mention my name, but you mentioned my boy, and that's the same. I don't believe you suckers are trying to rap. You're not even on the hip-hop map. I'll step on your name, I'll put you down so low you'll be staring face to face with my big toe, cause I'm the king and I'm wearing a crown, and whoever tried to take it, I'ma beat you down, cause I'm sick of all suckers trying to diss our crew. You're just jealous of the funky things that we do, so get your act together, grab a rhyme and a beat, and come see me on 24 Sumter Street.
What's the name of this jam? Suckers. Who we talking about? Suckers. What's the name of this jam? Suckers. So who we gonna take out? Suckers.